Okay, so for implementation, we're going to talk about the interventions and how to choose interventions. So what type of interventions or what types of interventions are there? Dependent interventions require a healthcare provider order. So anytime I see administer meds is ordered or, whatever requires an order, that doesn't require your clinical judgment just to follow the order. I want to know, how are you using clinical judgment in following that order? Independent interventions are things that can be implemented by the nurse without an order. Okay. Sometimes students get mixed up and they think an independent intervention is something that the patient can do independently. An independent intervention is something that I can do without an order as a nurse. Delegated interventions are those that can be delegated to someone as long as it's within the scope of practice. So I can delegate a bed bath, sorry, got a hair on my face. I can delegate a bed bath to a CNA. I can't delegate my admission assessment to a CNA, right? So a delegated intervention is one that I delegate to someone else. It has to be within their scope of practice. A referral is made to another discipline. So if they need physical therapy, they get referred to PT. As a nurse, we can recommend those referrals to other departments, but often they require a provider order for payment reasons. Interventions should be evidence-based. That means that as a nurse, you should be familiar with recent updates in the evidence. Research is not someone's opinion. Okay, it's not going and looking up all the things in the library. When we talk about nursing research, we're talking about studies that have been designed, studies that have been, I'm going to find out if this intervention works or not to prevent this problem or to correct this problem. And they design a study and they carry it out and then they report on it. That's research. And you as a nurse need to be familiar with the recent things that have been found by research. You also need to learn to evaluate sources and find sources that are good at evaluating whether research is valid. Okay, and that can be a challenge. Some of that you learn in a BSN program. It can be a challenge. You want to make sure that you're looking at the way the study's designed and at whether the people who did the study have some reason to maybe skew the results. Are they interpreting the results correctly? Are there other things that could have made the results look different? So you want to be able to identify and determine good research. Think of interventions as nursing orders. An intervention is not just what I did today. An intervention in your care plan is what you are saying as the RN. You're saying that the nurses who care for this patient should do this. So if you think a patient needs incentive spirometry as a nursing intervention, that needs to be carried on through other shifts. Okay. They should include action, not just assessment. Biggest mistake I see, or one of the biggest, I've said that 3 times. One of the biggest mistakes I see in terms of interventions on care plans is assess and monitor. If all I do is assess and monitor my patient, it doesn't say I'm doing anything. So if you're assessing as an intervention, I need to know what you're looking for and what you will do if you find it. So instead of monitor O2 sats, well, I can do that. I can watch them go down to 0. Instead of that, I'm going to say administer oxygen to maintain O2 sats above 94%. Or I'm going to say notify a provider if O2 sats are less than 92% or something along those lines. I need to say what I'm doing, what I'm looking for, and what I'm doing about it. The majority of your interventions should be independent. And if all of the interventions you can think of for a problem, or most of them are dependent, requiring order, then it might not be a nursing problem. It might be a provider problem. Use your etiology and short-term goals to individualize intervention. And this is a very simple example of that. Ineffective airway clearance means the patient cannot clear their airway, right? It can occur for a lot of reasons. if a patient has ineffective airway clearance related to laryngeal edema, think about the things that would help that, okay? If a patient has ineffective airway clearance related to excessive mucus, think about what would help that. Those interventions are completely different, right? So your etiology is what determines what most of your interventions should be. So how do we go about implementing the care plan? First of all, as a nurse, when you organize your day, well, begin by organizing your day. Sometimes it feels like we hit the ground running so fast, we don't have time to get organized and we don't know which end is up. Always take some time to organize your day and take time to reset when things have gotten chaotic, when there's a crisis. Take time to reset because it will help you catch things that have been missed, and it will also help you save steps later down the road. Okay, so get report, review your orders, meds, labs, and other results that are relevant to the patient care. Assess your patient early in your shift. Don't wait 2 or 3 hours to assess your patient. When you take report, you're responsible for that patient. But also make continuous observations to adjust the care plan as you go. Prioritization, what should you do first? Again, think about what's the most critical, okay? What problems are we going to address first? And also, if we have several interventions for the same problem, what's going to give you the biggest impact fastest? What helps quick, okay? Delegation is who can do what, okay? What can you delegate to someone without a license? What can you delegate to an LPN? So make sure you understand who you can delegate to, because unless you have a very small patient load, you can't take care of everyone 100% independently. Potential pitfalls. When writing interventions, a really common one is assessment as intervention. You can assess your patient to death. If you don't do something, you have not helped them. Instead, what are you looking for and what will you do when you find it? Too many dependent interventions. Following orders is not a care plan, okay? Instead, you want to state how nursing judgment will be used in following the order. Cookbook care planning, books and other resources, online resources can give you ideas for interventions, but you need to select the ones appropriate to your patient and individualize them. This book, where'd I put it? I put it back up here. This nursing diagnosis book, for every one of those diagnoses, it has suggested goals and suggested interventions, but you can't just list them because some of those won't apply for your patient, okay? So make sure that you are selecting individualizing care. Select the ones that apply to your patient. Okay, we're going to look now at back to Mrs. T. Let's see if I've got her. Let me get her pulled up. Let's look back to Mrs. T. We have a nursing diagnosis, imbalanced nutrition, less than body requirements related to inadequate energy for meal preparation, decreased appetite, as evidenced by, we have evidence for this, okay? Our goals, the patient will consume 1,500 kilocalories and 36 grams of protein daily within 1 week. Patient will report access to 2 balanced meals daily and 3 snacks within 2 days. Patient will report feeling hungry at least daily within 3 days, okay? What are we going to do to make those things happen? Here's some options. We can ask that patient to construct a shopping list of easy to prepare foods based on her favorite foods and flavors. Refer the patient to Meals on Wheels or to the local senior meal center. Refer her to a provider service like some patients with Medicaid can get a provider. Encourage patient to identify preferred brand and flavors of supplements. I've been told by a lot of people strawberry are the easiest to drink for some of those, but some patients might prefer vanilla or chocolate. And encourage the patient to snack on foods with higher protein and nutrients. You can probably think of other interventions to help this patient. Interventions are what's going to meet these goals. All right, the very last one will be really short because we're just going to evaluate.